So, why would you do this for so long? Why? Why care? What's
Oh,
so hard about just going to the DMV and getting a driver's license and doing what everybody else is doing?
because it's not merely the victims, the pain of the victims, the pain and suffering of people who can't afford to spend thousands of dollars every year on on this fraud. It's also the people who are taking their money. They are being enriched. A couple weeks ago, filed a motion to have it waived, have it what do you call it, discharged, set aside, set aside that motion for arrest or that warrant for arrest. I didn't find it until a month or so ago.
You didn't find what?
The the description of this motion. If there's no evidence in the warrant, in the or the affidavit in support of a warrant, which there was none, zero, then you can pre-plea, prior to making a plea, you can file this motion. So I finally found this and submitted it last week. I don't know if it's going to do any good with all these criminals, but it's now done. And I've talked to the state risk management gal. I've been talking to her for years. I have a green card where I sent her information about this from 2013, and I've been writing to her off and on ever since then. That's 8-9 years, and she knows, or should know, enough to know that there's no argument. It's just all of these people are engaged, and I'm being beat up over it. So that's in the process. I hope something comes of that. But I'm still laying low. I mean, I'm not willing to stick my head out. I live in a little tiny town. There's no cops in that town. There is a sheriff's substation really close, but they're hardly ever there. I can walk down to the store in 6 to 7 minutes and back.
But all you want to do is go be with those horses that you took care of for a while. How long were you there? Like nine months?
9.5 months or so.
And you
Yeah,
bonded,
I
and you
lived in the
bonded with them.
barns with the horses. They were the first, not exactly people, they were my first friends that I talked to in the morning when I got it. When I opened my door to my stall, there they were. And they were the last.
They brought you happiness. I remember getting phone calls. You were really happy to be there with them.
With them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were similarly, they had a similar emotional tone to mine when I got there, because they were so uncared for, improperly cared for.
And bringing that up with the condition, with the situation that you're in right now, with this warrant and stuff, there were things that you tried to do and are still working. You reported.
Yeah, I reported
situation.
the abuse to the sheriff in that county, and I kept calling and saying, "What are you doing about it? Are you doing anything?" And they wouldn't do anything about it.
And you wanted to do more, but you were restricted from this current situation.
And then last year when they got seized, I started calling them again and said, where are they? And I knew a number of them didn't make it out of there. And I just wanted to know who had survived. And I've been talking to the district attorney who's prosecuting her, saying, do you know anybody with more personal knowledge about this gal than I have, that has spent more time with her and her victims, the horses? And he won't answer me. And I've told him, I said, I have this bogus warrant that I got to get cleared before I can come to court and testify, but it's no big deal. You could get rid of it yourself. And he won't do anything. The sheriff won't do anything. The sheriff ended up sending me a half-inch stack of paper, crime reports on this woman, but that wasn't nearly all of them.
But because of who you are within the government, and a whole bunch of them know who you are, and they know your name.
Right now, it's really hard because the head of the state of Oregon is
Kate Brown.
Kate Brown, my chief enemy, and yeah, it's pretty easy for people to get the word out on that. Yeah, everybody knows that Kate Brown is. There's a stalking order against me from Kate Brown, and of course,
and everybody's been restricted from talking to you, and to call it in. Have you had anybody to help you? Is there anybody on the inside that? I mean, they all pretend like they're interested.
I don't know.
There were some of them.
I haven't found anybody that counts yet.
So, why would you do this for so long? Why care? What's so hard about just going to the DMV and getting a driver's license and doing what everybody else is doing?
Because it's not merely the victims, the pain of the victims, the pain and suffering of people who can't afford to spend thousands of dollars every year on this fraud. It's also the people who are taking their money. They are being enriched. The current numbers, the current percentage is the people pay 66%, within 1% of 66% of all of the costs of fixing the highway, but they're not required to pay any user fees. It's the corporate users of the highway, the haulers for hire, that are required to pay that, and they put that extra money in their pocket so they can go further out to get cheaper goods. The corporate communities going to China and bringing back all these manufactured in China goods. They are, because we can't afford to pay ourselves. We can't afford to have U.S. made some things that can be brought from China much cheaper. And until we get past that stage where we can afford to take care of ourselves, we're pathetic. We as a culture, we're in this pathetic situation, and I can't. How can anybody live in the middle of a society that is so stepped on, ground into the dirt by the corporate community?
Why do you care about everybody else? Why did you put yourself?
Well, at this point, if I could get out in the woods with the horses, I probably wouldn't. I would just,
But you fought for 27 years.
It's been 27 years, yeah. And
can I ask how old you are? Can we tell them?
I suppose, yeah.
Do you want to tell them?
Sure. 74. I'm 74 years old.
74 years old. And you're tired now. I'm tired too. You put yourself through so much. You knew pretty early on when you started digging into this that they were fighting back. You
Oh yeah.
knew
Oh yeah.
this
It
was
was
going to be,
obvious from the beginning. Yeah.
and you kept going with hopes that somebody on the inside, somebody within government was going to do the right thing.
Somebody that was young enough not to have been totally absorbed into this situation, yeah, would maybe do something. I kept thinking, and I should have been doing what I'm doing now 20 some years ago,
Telling the people.
yeah, talking to the people. But
You did a couple of times.
I have. I've done a lot of videos. You saw one in my bag. I've been on cable television many times. I've had my own show. I've done my own talk shows. I've done what I could.
The difference with before though and today is a lot of people are interested in truth today. So I think more people today are waking up to the corruption within government and what's actually really going on.
Hopefully.
What's really important and so true is a lie is a lie, even if everyone believes it. And the truth is the truth, even if no one believes it.
That's pretty simple, yeah.
And you have known this truth for a long time, and you have suffered a lot for a long time, and you still are.
Yeah.
You want your life back. And now you're reaching out to the people. Just get your story out there and tell them what you know. We're not against education. What if somebody came up to you and said, having a driver's license makes it safer on the roads? How false is that statement? Or how true is that statement?
There's no piece of paper that makes anybody safer anywhere. It's actual education. It's the upbringing. And we have a society where people aren't even being, when we go to public school, when our children go to public school, they are being dumbed down. And I want to talk about John Gatto. Everybody needs to become acquainted with John Gatto. He was New York's Teacher of the Year 22 years ago. And that was the year that he got Teacher of the Year award, he quit because it was so pathetic. And he went on the road and he started teaching about what he had learned of the public school system.
What was his last name? Gatto?
Gatto, Gatto, yeah. And he wrote a book, Dumbing Us Down. So look for that, Dumbing Us Down. And
so you agree that there should be like some kind of class within high school where the students can learn how to safely...
I believe that education starts with family. Family starts educating their children when they start walking around. Before then, they're learning from us, but when they start walking around and functioning like people, then they start learning from the people they're walking around with. And we, the people, need to educate our children how to be polite, how to be safe, how to be respectful. And the public schools are not doing that today. And the people don't have time. It used to be in our society that one parent working was enough so that one parent could take care of the kids and teach them and help them become people. But now it takes two people in a family to bring home enough money. So we are being isolated from our future, from our children, And that's a tragedy. That is something that has come from the corporate dominance that is ruling our society. And that's what I'm against. I don't want to live in a corporately dominated society. That is, I can't stand the idea of having my neighbors not know what respect. They don't even know what self-respect is.
But just to stay on the education part for safety of the road, you're pro safety on the roads. You're not saying, get rid of your driver's license and be dangerous.
That thing. All right. Sure. We currently, many schools, probably most schools have, high schools anyway, have something they call driver education. Well, what's a driver? Why don't they educate people about what a driver is? It's somebody who is doing it for money. Why don't they start out teaching them that? Because they're bringing them into a circumstance where they're the subjects of fraud. They're the victims of fraud. And
perpetual ignorance.
And it's got to change. But we could just as easily call it traveling on the highway. Instead of driver's education, we could call it traveling on the highway. And why not? But teach people how to use a car, not drive a car, but how to use a car in a manner that is responsible, that's safe, that's normal. And let me just make a comment. I wrote this one paper while I was in jail in Washington County about the history of our culture, and I highlighted the difference between pre-automobile and subsequently. When people were traveling by horse, we didn't have to have licenses. But imagine how many people got bucked off of a horse, or the horse got scared and ran out from under them, or got scared and ran under a tree and the tree knocked them off, or there were so many more accidents per mile traveled
with a horse
before cars. Oh yeah, horses. When you're dealing with living creatures, there's so much more that can happen. You have to be, but everybody took chances, and we did what we had to do, and then we got cars. Now traveling is so much safer. We can drive. What do we drive? What's the number of miles per accident nowadays? Thousands, right? And
the statistics of, I wouldn't know top of my head.
Well, this has been so long ago that was when I wrote this, was close to 20 years ago.
What would you say to the people that just tell you, why can't you just obey the law?
Okay, obey the law. Are laws made for the people? No. In our society, we have this understanding. It's called the Constitution. It's the social compact under which we all agree to live. And in Oregon, the first sentence says, all power is inherent in the people. That means there's no one above us to impose a law. There is no law ever written for the people. That includes taxes. We, the people, don't pay direct taxes. We pay taxes to corporations because they add their cost of paying taxes to the cost of selling something, to their customers pay their taxes. But the people don't pay direct taxes. But we don't know that. We've never learned that. We don't understand it. It's persons. Persons are different from people. And I've mentioned that, in this. Can I talk about persons a little bit? Is that?
Go for it.
Thousands of years ago, in Greece, ancient Greece, they called it, persona, was a mask that was used by an actor in a stage play. You know, they had these outdoor theaters, and people who were portraying characters on the stage used these masks to indicate the character they were supposed to be playing, right? So that's what a mask was called, persona. It's never meant a human being. It's always meant a mask. That's why corporations are called persons, because corporations are what people hide behind. There's no person unless it has a mask, the qualities of a mask that indicate the character, like a happy person, that's a legitimate person, a sad person, a black person, a white person, any kind of person, as long as you have an adjective that says this is what the mask portrays, that's a person. But if you don't, you can't just say persons on the street. There's no such thing. It's not a generalized term. It's a mask with a particular meaning, a particular characteristic. But the people, like I said, in the Oregon Constitution, and Oregon's Constitution was plagiarized from Indiana, but most states have some kind of acknowledgement of the similar status of their people. Oregon's not unique. We are all subject to the United States of America's, and that's another thing. Most people don't even know there is a United States and a United States of America, and there are various forms between there and the United States. But the words have meaning. The words mean something. They always represent a new form, a new mask. And the United States is an incorporated entity. The United States of America was what we called each state coming together in a union. And a union is not a nation. A union implies many coming together in this union. Union cannot mean one thing. Union means all of those who are involved in something common to all. But we are so illiterate today, most people don't even know that. Most people think, oh, isn't Oregon a part of the United States? Hell no. It's not part of the United States. It's one of the United States of America. And that, how can I live among a society where that's the common understanding? I can't. It just blows me away. And I guess part of the situation that I find myself in, laying low is what I'm calling it generally. But laying low, I don't socialize a lot. I don't get around people. I don't go out to parties. I don't meet groups of people. So I'm isolated from that. But if I had the opportunity, I'm a human, and humans are gregarious. We're socially oriented, right? So we choose. We're designed. We're created to be together, and I can't live together with people that are so grossly illiterate that they don't even comprehend the difference between a corporate entity called the United States and a union of all of the states called the United States of America. I can't do it. I just, I don't have that capacity. I want to live with horses. They don't need to talk about that. They don't need to conceive of that. And they know, horses know a lot more than most people think they do. They think differently. They have different parts of their brain functioning differently. And they have so much to teach me. That's what I want to do. I just can't imagine myself living in a dumbed down society. But that's the difference between people and person. And we are dumbed down to that extent. We think persons include us the people. It doesn't.
And you spend so much time trying to educate people, and so much time trying to. I mean, you've gone to like a group. Didn't I go with you to the Eagles? Something Eagles with Ray. You spent so much time talking to people, just trying to.
Oh, I've hung out at city council meetings. You and I went to the Beaverton city council meetings.
Oh.
I've harassed the Portland city council people.
Harassed.
I've gone to I have become acquainted, sat down with the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners. I've gone to many of the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners. I mean, that's what I do. Yeah.
You spent so much. Yeah, you know that there was some parents that went to a school and were speaking up at the school boards, and now today or recently, and they're trying to call them terrorists.
Yeah, I'm aware of them. Yeah.
Oh, so at least more and more people are speaking up. Maybe not about the same subject.